In this video, we're going to look at different types of bolts. As you can see, bolts come in all different shapes and sizes. So when you go to buy a bolt, it really helps to be able to communicate what kind of bolt you want. Mostly bolts are defined by 4 parts: the head type, the length of the bolt, the diameter of the bolt, and the type of material the bolt is made from. Let's have a look at this bolt. This bolt, as you can see, has a hexagonal head. So this is a hex head bolt. These are also hex head bolts. This one here, it's a cap head with a hexagonal driver. Here are a whole bunch of other cap heads. This is a pan head. This is a pan head with a hexagonal driver. This is a pan head with a Phillips driver. These are all pan heads. This is a countersink head. The idea of this countersink head is that it will sit flush with the binding surface. If you can imagine, in this hexagonal head, the head is going to sit above your binding surface. These are all examples of other types of countersink heads. Another kind of bolt that you'll come into contact quite often are these things. They're called U-bolts or shackle bolts, and they're most commonly used to join chains or rope to a surface. They're measured a little bit differently to a regular bolt. They're measured in a few dimensions: the type of material they're made from, the distance between the legs, the diameter of the shackle pin, and the length of the leg. You can also get all different kinds of other bolts. This is a plow bolt. This is a carriage bolt. This is a T-slot bolt. And this is some kind of a custom handly thing. This carriage bolt is designed to use in timber. And the way you use it is that you drill a hole the diameter of the shaft, and then you drive the head into that hole. This shape here, this square shape, it binds in that hole, so that way when you go to tighten up the other end, you only need one spanner. This T-slot bolt is meant to sit inside a machine and be held against the head in a groove. If we have a look at this one, this is well, that's pretty close to 24 millimeters, so I think it's probably a 24 millimeter bolt. And if we have a look at this one, the diameter of that one is about the same. So I think that these two are the same diameter. And there's a little trick that you can use to see if 2 bolts are the same diameter. If you hold the bolts together, you can see that the thread sizes match. So this means that the bolts are most likely the same diameter and the same thread size. If we have a look at this bolt, in fact, that's not a 25 mil, nor is it a 26 mil. It's something in between. So if I change my gauge to be in inches, we can see that this is a 1 inch wide bolt. There are standards out there that relate the diameter of the bolt to the pitch of the thread that's used. If these bolts are all standard, these threads will be standard in relationship to the diameter. Here we can see that these 2 bolts also have the same thread size. So chances are the diameter of these 2 bolts are the same as well. Let's just have a quick check of that. And it is. You'll also see that if I try and match these 2 bolts, you can see that the threads don't line up. If we're going to measure the length of a bolt, we need to measure, in the case of this hex head, from under the hex to the end of the bolt. That is a 80 mil bolt. Same with this cap head, from under the cap head to the end of the bolt. However, in the case of this countersink head, we need to measure from the top of the countersink head to the end of the bolt. Let's define this bolt. Let's measure it. First, the diameter. So the diameter is 24 millimeters. So that's an M24. Then we're going to measure the length. And we can see here that that is, well, that's an 80 mil bolt. So that's an M24 80 mil bolt. It's a hexagonal head, and I'm going to guess and say that this is a mild steel bolt. This is an M24 80 hex head steel bolt. Let's do the same with this one. This is also a 24 mil bolt, and if we measure the length, that's a 50 mil bolt. So this is a M24 50 cap head steel bolt. Let's have a look at this one. This one we know is an inch in diameter. This is a 1 inch by 5 inch countersink steel bolt.